Now, given that Venom isn't necessarily a villain and Eddie might not have been happy with him wanting to kill a child or even killing a child, there's quite a high chance that if he was in Spider-Man No Way Home, in the battle and everything, he might not have actually fought against the Spider-Man and might have been like Doc Ock and fought with the Spider-Man against the Sinister Six, or I guess the Sinister Five. And then that brings up the question, which of the different members of the Sinister Five can Venom defeat? What is his power level in comparison to the other members of the Sinister Five? Well, that is what I'm going to be talking about today. Before I get into the video, please like, share, and subscribe, as well as comment down below on any thoughts you'll have about this video. Now, obviously, before I get into the video, I have to state that I'm only using the live-action adaptations of these characters, the Sinister Five from Spider-Man No Way Home, and the Sony Spider-Man Universe version of Venom, these exact versions of all of these characters. So first of all, I'll start with the villains that I think Venom does actually defeat. That is the Lizard, Doc Ock, and the Green Goblin. Now, I think Venom does actually defeat these three characters, primarily because it can obviously just get into contact with them and then get into their body, take over their body, kill them internally, and then it's GG's. I don't think he can do the same to Electro and Sandman, because how exactly is he going to take over sand and all of this? And Electro actually has electricity, which is to some extent a weakness to Venom, but I'll get into that later. These three specific characters, I think he actually has the capabilities of taking over them and then beating them in that way. But if he was not going to take over them and he was to actually face off against them in a proper fight, well, I still believe he wins, because I think Venom is physically stronger than all three of them. He might not necessarily be faster than them, but I think he is definitely stronger. Now, don't get me wrong, each one of them is obviously quite physically strong, the Green Goblin being relative to Spider-Man's strength, Doc Ock's tentacles being stronger to some extent than Spider-Man himself, and the Lizard also being somewhat stronger than Spider-Man as well. So obviously they are all quite physically strong, and that will obviously mean that they can do a bit of damage to Venom. But in comparison, I think Venom is much stronger, with him being casually capable of just throwing away not just people but also cars, which is obviously quite an impressive feat to consider. I actually think he's also more durable and has better regeneration than these three characters. Again, don't get me wrong, all of them can take quite a few attacks from the Spider-Man, like a lot. They can obviously take a lot of attacks from Spider-Man, and the Lizard also has good regeneration, but Venom took so many different attacks from Riot and Carnage and so many different characters. And not just that, he also has insane healing and regeneration and endurance because of the amount of times he was actually stabbed by Riot and Carnage and just the general attacks he took from these two characters, and he just kept healing up and getting right back into the battle over and over again. Even after being impaled multiple times, he just kept healing and getting back into the battle. He has insane endurance, insane regeneration, and insane stamina, which would obviously help him even more. Now, when it comes to the abilities that Venom has, obviously Venom can manipulate his body to formulate different weapons like shields and tentacles, which obviously helps him out quite drastically in the battle. The Lizard doesn't have any specific advantage over Venom, so he is definitely out already. And Doc Ock obviously has multiple tentacles, but Venom can also even out the playing field by creating himself multiple tentacles, perhaps even more, and he can still also create, I guess, other weapons from his body to help him out against Doc Ock. And it's not like Doc Ock's blades or arms can do much damage to Venom because of Venom's insane durability and super strength. So I guess Doc Ock should also kind of be out, because he also doesn't have a specific way of taking down Venom, whilst Venom should have ways of taking him down. Now, the Green Goblin is a bit of a complicating one, because the blades and general attacks the Green Goblin directs at Venom would not make much of a difference to Venom, because Venom should still be durable enough to not be affected by them, or have enough regeneration and healing to just kind of heal from them over and over again. But there is one thing that Green Goblin does have that could be a bit of a problem to Venom, and that is of course his pumpkin bombs, which are obviously explosives and obviously generating fire, which is a symbiote weakness. And now that could be the one problem that might actually go against Venom when facing off against the Green Goblin, and the Green Goblin could use the opening created by the pumpkin bombs to actually go directly for Eddie if Venom goes away, or if Venom is removed from a specific part of Eddie's body, or if he just separates from Eddie in general because of the explosion, and the Green Goblin could kill Eddie directly. Now, that is 100% possibility, but given that the Venom is still superior in terms of strength, has better endurance and regeneration, also has way more ways of attacking the Green Goblin than the Green Goblin has of attacking him, and if Venom is actually able to avoid the explosion from the pumpkin bomb or even survive it, then he'll probably win the fight. And the reason why I say survive it is because Venom in the first Venom movie did actually survive the explosion of a rock pocket and he was in close proximity of it, and he survived that and then just got back into contact with Eddie later, which obviously does mean that there's a possibility he could also survive this and then get into contact with Eddie again and just go at the Green Goblin once again. So I think there is a chance the Green Goblin has of actually defeating Venom, but I would still slightly lean towards Venom being the winner. Now, when you're talking about Electro and Sandman, these are the two characters I don't necessarily believe Venom can actually beat. The reason why I believe Venom can't actually defeat Sandman is because, first of all, I don't actually think he can take over Sandman, because, I mean, how exactly is he gonna take over Sand? And if he attempts to take over Sandman, well, Sandman is like in a kind of human form. He can just automatically turn himself into sand, and then it's kind of pointless. And in general, if he goes for a proper fight, Sandman is far physically stronger than him, more or less immortal, and can also generate a variety of different weapons than Venom, weapons that he could use to actually instantly or almost instantly take out Venom. I cannot see a way for Venom to actually hurt or defeat the Sandman. Sandman's actually one of the most powerful and most underrated villains in the MCU. And then when it comes to Electro, now weirdly enough, in general, in terms of their physical attributes, I would say Venom is superior. But weirdly also, Venom has a somewhat weakness to electrical attacks, electrical currents and stuff like that, and obviously that is what Electro is, and his electrical attacks are obviously insanely powerful, and I don't necessarily think Venom is fast or agile enough to dodge any of those attacks, and if they land, they could be a big problem for Venom. And if Electro does to Venom what he did to Spider-Man by holding him in place with electricity, I don't exactly know how Venom is getting out of that alive. I think Electro's electrical abilities are going to just be a massive disadvantage for Venom, an advantage I don't know if he can necessarily get around, especially with his somewhat weakness to electrical attacks. So yeah, I believe Venom beats the Lizard more or less 8 out of 10 times. I think he beats Doc Ock 7 out of 10 times. I think he beats the Green Goblin 6 out of 10 times, and then I don't think he actually beats Sandman and Electro. Now, I'm sure many people are going to have a lot of comments and thoughts about this. It's completely understandable. If y'all do, please leave them down below. This is MC Info with another MC Clash. I'm out.